Okay, hi. So we're here today and we're going to be talking about how we're all feeling at the moment. So I'm here with amazing Alena and we're going to have um, just a really lovely conversation and just see if we can unpick a bit of how we're all feeling at the moment. And yeah, we can cast some amazing wisdom on things and carry us through a little bit. So
Well, I think well, the way that we're all feeling at the moment is pretty uncertain about what's going to be happening. There's such big stuff going on at the moment, isn't there? And this is the week where we're all in tears for the first time, and we don't know whether we're staying in that tear or what's going to be happening, or whether there's going to be national lockdown again. And it's huge. I mean, we haven't experienced this kind of uncertainty in our lives nationally before, and so I guess what we're talking about is feelings of anxiousness, and a lot of people are saying that they're feeling anxious, aren't they, Sarah? You've had some feedback, haven't you?
gosh, a lot of people I've spoken to throughout my week this week, the main words that they've been saying is burnout,
Mm.
exhaustion, they'll feel like they're just on an emotional roller coaster.
Mm.
The unknown, we can't plan anything, or we're planning and then uh,
Yeah. They
yeah,
sound like really big emotions. I mean, the feeling of exhaustion and burnout. I mean, that sounds as though, we're having to deal with so much within ourselves that actually is taking up a lot of energy, and that's really tough, and it leaves us feeling lower as well. So that's, yeah. I mean, that's how we're all feeling, and I think we just need to sort of empathize a little bit with everybody going through all of this together. That's what we're doing. So, but the thing about uncertainty, it's like a clue is in that word, is that we don't know what's going to happen, and that's really difficult. That's really difficult to deal with, isn't it? That we don't know what's going to happen, and the tendency for us, I think, for a lot of us, is to think of all of the worst things that could happen, of all of the things that could be difficult or go wrong, or that are somehow going to harm us, and that's absolutely, totally natural. And I think what we start to feel in the body is those really sort of uncomfortable sensations that we have when actually our alert system is triggered. Sort of feelings like tightness in the chest, feelings like more rapid breathing, and it's our body starting to respond to those triggers of adrenaline in the system, and it can be downright uncomfortable to
I know.
feel like that.
I know this week I felt really angry, and I'm not actually an angry person. I'm really chilled out, calm, happy-go-lucky. But it's really weird. I've been very out of character. When you said earlier about tears, I wasn't thinking the tears from the government. I was thinking like tears, because I've just cried this week. I've been so emotional and angry, and I'm like, what is going on? Like,
Yes. It sounds like an absolute roller coaster of emotions going on, heightening, those usual ups and downs that we feel during the day, but absolutely sort of blown up, into, as you say, a really big sort of feeling of roller coaster.
mm,
So should we talk about what's going on in the brain? Because I think it's really helpful to sort of demystify it just a little bit, to sort of figure out what's actually going on in the brain. And most people will have heard of the body's defense mechanism, which is about fight or flight. It's our primitive mechanism in our brain, which is a little nut that's right in the center of our back of our brain, called the amygdala. And the reason why it's there and what it's doing is gearing us up to be able to fight or to flee from threat. Okay. And I mean, this is a primitive system because it comes from the days when actually we did have to do that stuff. We were fighting off battles, you know, we were having to run away from vicious animals and so on when we lived in caves and so on. But we've still got it. Still got that system in our brain. And what's triggering it to fire up is our perceived threats of what could happen in the future, our perceived threats that something could go wrong. And we're triggering this mechanism that actually makes our body feel as though we ought to be running away, or we ought to be gearing up to be able to fight. And that's why the adrenaline is pumping. That's why the breath is getting short. That's why we're feeling tension in our shoulders. That's why our body's feeling tense, because our nervous system is gearing up to be able to take action. Ooh, and that's what's going on.
Is that why you end up feeling, like everyone's been saying, tired, exhausted, burnt out, even though they've probably not physically burnt themselves out? Is that why? Because we're experiencing this heightened all the time, and then
Absolutely. I mean, you can be feeling like that tension in your nervous system. You could be feeling like that, and well, you spent all day sat at the desk doing your office work. I mean, most of us are working from home, aren't we? We're sat at our laptops, but that tension, that nervous system tension, is just building and building. And many people describe, you know, the way that their necks start to ache, their traps here get really, really tight. They start to get migraines. It's that tightness, because actually what's going on in the body is that threat system that's getting us ready to respond to threat. Is gearing up our nervous system, our muscles and our nervous system to tighten and get ready for action. But we don't need it. We're sat at our desks with our laptops.
what can we do? What can we?
Right. Well, yes. So I think we all recognise those symptoms, don't we? We do. So what can we do about it? The first thing to do is to notice it. Now, having said this, Sarah, this can be a little bit counterintuitive, because for some of us who are feeling really rubbish with it, who are really feeling anxious and even panicky, it can be absolutely, you know, as I say, it's completely counterintuitive to actually notice that we're feeling like that, because so often we just want to push it away because it's really uncomfortable. But the starting point about noticing it is to notice that you're feeling anxious. Okay, is to notice that your body is responding, and just to accept for a moment that that is happening to us rather than avoiding it. And then the next thing to do is to take a breath, just to take a calming breath, and to notice that we're feeling like that, to accept it, and just to take a calming breath. Now, if we're really into being very triggered and very anxious, it may be that we need to do some other things. It may be that we need to go and distract ourselves and go and do something. Go and hoover, go and cook a meal, go and read a book for a while. Take our mind off it. That works for some people in some situations. Sometimes we're so full of adrenaline and tension that the best thing to do would be actually to go and move, to go and walk around the park, to have a stretch, to stand up, to stretch our arms up, to move, to sway. Let's let go of some of that. Let go of some of that
While
energy.
you're there.
Yes, absolutely. Okay. Or it may be that we just feel so sore and tight in our bodies that the best thing is to go and have a bath, go and soothe ourselves. Or, you know, if we've got somebody handy who is in our social bubble, go and have a hug. Have a hug. That's one of the nicest things to do. Just a soothe away. Yeah.
We can always hug ourselves as well, can't we? It's not quite the same, but
It does feel very nice, actually. It's a really good technique, isn't it? Feels lovely. Oh, and especially when you've got a big jumper on like we have.
yeah. Music as well, I love. Getting music on, dancing.
Get the music on. The music is soothing. Music is soothing, and it is engaging the brain as well. So it's also distracting as well as soothing. So that's a great technique as well. Okay, and so we've noticed it. We've noticed that we're feeling anxious. We've taken a step back. We've taken a breath. Okay, and we've maybe done something to distract or soothe ourselves, so feeling a little bit better. Okay, and the next thing that we really need to do is to work out what's going on in our heads, what's triggering it for us. What is it that we're actually fearing? What is it that we're thinking is going to go wrong? And so we need to start having a bit of a conversation with ourselves, unpicking this and just saying, hang on, how am I right now? Am I safe and well? Yeah, I am actually.
What
Is
do you,
it is it realistic that this thing is going to actually go as badly as we think it is? And maybe there isn't any evidence that it would at all. What do you think?
do, do you what do you think about journaling? Because I quite like writing because it gets it out of my head, and then once I've got it out, like you were saying, analyze it, and I'm like, yeah, actually, it's not that bad. Or sometimes with overwhelm, I've got so much to do that sends me into the stress, and then if I just get it out on paper and it, I'm like, oh, actually, it's not that bad.
I think I think that's journaling. I think is one of the best things we can possibly do, and it's exactly that, isn't it, Sarah? It's about getting it out of our heads and getting it down on paper, and it's like it's a really powerful form of having a conversation with ourselves, isn't it? Yeah, we're taking it out of our head, getting it down on paper, looking at what it is that we're thinking and feeling, and it's reflecting back at us from our journal, from the page in our that we've just written. I mean, that's really powerful stuff, and that's engaging. Going back to the brain, that's engaging the frontal brain, which is the rational cognitive part of the brain. Yeah, in working out what's going on here, and that's the way to put some of this into perspective. And another way, obviously, is going and speaking to somebody.
I was going to say talking's the best because
Talking.
when we had a chat last week, it was just brilliant. It was just it it just clarifies things, doesn't it? It just gets it out, and yeah,
Yeah,
even if
it does.
the other person doesn't say anything.
Yeah, yeah, especially if the other person doesn't say anything, it's even better because we're listening to ourselves verbalize, okay, the thoughts and the feelings, the stuff that's like swimming around. It's swimming around in our limbic system, which is the emotional system in the brain, which is linked to our amygdala, which is the defense system. It's all swimming around in there, okay, and it's firing off all of these feelings and sensations in the body. Yeah, and so what we're doing in verbalizing is a front brain function, and we're engaging the rational part of the brain in talking, and actually talking. We're making sense of. Okay, we're putting things into perspective, and goodness, like you say, it just feels better. It feels better, even if the other person, as you say, says nothing. In fact, it's better if they say nothing.
So go for a walk with your dog, and you'll
Yes,
talk to your dog.
talk
Let's
to the dog.
hug a tree. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So all those things help, and it starts with, it starts with noticing. Don't push these feelings away. Pushing away, just that feelings don't go away. Don't push away. It just amplifies them and makes them worse. Notice them. Notice the discomfort. Notice that they're there. Then stop and calm, soothe, distract, do what works for you. And then when you can, start rationalizing what's going on. Talk to somebody, write your journal, talk to yourself.
I do it often in the car when no one's there.
Yes.
Myself. So just a little bit about yourself, Alena. If this kind of hits anybody and just feels that they would like to talk to you more about this and get some advice from you, how could we contact you, or what do you offer, or is there somewhere that we can go and find this information, or would they just ring you?
I'd,
Or
I'd like to have more of this information up on our website. So you've given me a bit of a thought that maybe I need some pages on the website where people can look this stuff up, because this is stuff that we can offer to help. But I'm a counsellor and psychotherapist, and I'm part of a little collaborative of 4 counsellors and psychotherapists called Tree of Life Counselling. Okay, and we're available for counselling, and counselling is just this: it's the talking and the making sense of. Yeah, and that's basically what it's all about. And so if anybody's feeling that they need to make some sense of stuff that they can't do through these things like journaling, and things like being able to talk it through with loved ones, then yeah, that's what we're there for. And so we've just got a phone number to call through. It happens to be my phone number, which is 07505 012 465. And I'm really happy to speak to anybody, just have a chat about what they're feeling, and just see whether we can be of any help. And as I say, there's 4 of us. There's me, and 3 others, and so we've got some different personalities who may suit talking for different people. That's it.
It really does help, doesn't it? So yeah, well, thank you so much. This has been really lifted me this week, because like I said, I've had a very up and down week, so it just makes sense of it all, and has given not only me but all of us just tools and to take away, and it's nice just to know that we're not the only one feeling like this as well, isn't it? So
no, it's all of us. We're all in it. We're all in the same boat at the moment, that's for sure.
Which is why we thought this would really help, wouldn't it? And take anything from it you can.
Yeah, brilliant, Sarah.
So, sending everybody love.
And thanks for the chat.
Here's to the next little convo.
Yes, nice one.